Hi, it's Kim Butler. We're going to take a look at the financial calculators, and there are five of them. They're tiny and powerful. How's that for an intro, Todd?
There you go. Well, these calculators really are very handy, and when they will solve the problem that I'm trying to help the client with, if this simple calculator is enough, then I don't want to complicate it by using another calculator. And these are the ones I'm going to grab. These are also great for proving existing numbers, maybe in a calculator if there's some doubt as to whether a number is right. This can be a great tool for that to help reinforce that for the client. So I use these calculators quite a bit. They do the same thing any handheld financial calculator does. The difference being that you're able to see all of the numbers at the same time. And typically when you use a handheld financial calculator, you type in the next number, the previous one disappears, and it's hard for the client to keep all that in place. Here, they're all on the screen. The downside of that is you have to pull up the calculator for the function you're using. And there's five possible functions. I mean, if you pull down that menu just so we can see them, actually, I guess you can see them all right there. You can either look at them here inside of the menu and you see all five calculators: future value, present value, payment, time period, and
Great.
rate. Okay, I couldn't remember which one we didn't have. All right, so all five of those, and as long as you know four of the five, you can always solve for the fifth. Well, since you have to go get the calculator for the one you're missing, sometimes it can be hard to figure out which one do I pull up. I don't really know what the missing piece is. What I would suggest is just pull any one of them down, start working through it, and you're probably going to figure out which one you don't have, and then go grab the calculator for that missing piece, and that'll solve it for you. But in this case, what I want to do is show that relationship between how they all work together. And a couple of things quickly just about the individual calculators. You can see that beside payment, we have a beginning and end period, and we have that in most of the calculators in the system on the payment, and it's going to determine when that payment or withdrawal, if it's a negative number, is made, whether that's going to be at the beginning of the period or the end of the period. And typically, if we're talking about investing, we're talking about starting that investing now. So that would be a beginning of period calculation on our payment stream. Whereas many times, if we're talking about a note, a loan from the bank, we don't make our first payment until 30 days after the note signing. So that would typically be an end of period calculation. For this example, we'll just use beginning of period on everything. You also see that we have the ability to change the compounding period between annually, monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually. The other thing, and this is also true throughout the calculators, whenever we have a negative present value, that typically represents a loan balance. So in other words, here, just as an overview, if Kim put in a minus $100,000, we're going to see the language actually even change to show loan balance. So that's how we put a loan in. If it's positive money that we have that we've put into an account to grow, we would put that as a positive number, and it's going to show as present value. On the payment stream, anytime we have money that's flowing away from us, whether we're making a payment against a loan, whether we're making a payment into an investment account, we're still making that payment to the account. We're going to enter that as a positive, and it's going to say annual payment. But if we're pulling money out of an account, then we're going to enter that as a negative number. So if she puts minus 10,000 here as an example, then the annual payment is going to change to annual withdrawal. It's going to show it in green as a negative because really it's money that's flowing back to us, but it is treated as a negative value as far as what it's going to do inside of the account it's coming from. So it's pulling it out of that account and coming to us. Just understand that, and you can see it in the language. If it's a negative number, it's going to say annual withdrawal. All right, so those are kind of the basics here, and let's clear this out and let's just work a problem through them all so that we can see that truly they are all the same. It's just a different piece that's missing in each one. So if we had a $100,000 present value, an annual payment of $10,000, and we needed $1 million in the future, and that time in the future is 10 years from now, then it shows us that we would need to earn 20.96% every single year so that that $100,000 with $10,000 a year being added would grow to $1 million in that 10-year time frame. So let's say that we know that, but in a different equation, we didn't know what the payment was that was going to be necessary. So she pulls up the payment calculator, and what she did was a shortcut. Rather than going up to the menu and having to go to financial calculators and pulling it down there, which is an option, a shortcut is she can just double click on the language, on the word there, annual payment in this case, and that would pull up an annual payment calculator for her, just a shortcut. So in this equation, we'll put the same information we had in the previous one. We're going to put in a present value of 100,000, a future value of $1 million, an interest rate of 20.96 in 10 years, and it's going to tell us how much we have to add each year to make that happen. Well, this shows us $10,006.64. So it's not exactly right. We can see up above it was $10,000. So what's the difference here? Well, the difference is the number that we got on the first calculator. And if she goes up and clicks on that 20.96% up above, you're going to see that it's not 20.96, it's 20.96293667711315. The decimals will make the difference. So anytime I use a calculator to calculate a number that I'm going to use in another calculator, always copy the number with all the decimal places, or else you're going to slowly get more and more off of the actual number. So she's going to highlight this, copy it. Now she can go down to the interest rate in a payment calculator and right click and paste it in there with all the decimal places. When she hits enter, it'll format it down to where you can see it. And look what happened to our payment. It came out to exactly $10,000. All right, so let's continue on this process. Let's use the future value calculator. All right, so present value of 100,000, a payment of 10,000. Whenever you paste a number, it's always going to paste the last thing that was copied. So she doesn't have to go back and copy it again. She can just simply paste it, since that was the last thing she pasted, over 10 years. And we're going to see now our future value at exactly $1 million. Let's pull down the interest rate let's pull down the present value calculator. So what we don't know in this scenario is what amount of money do we have to put in this account to start with. We know we want $1 million in the future. We're going to add $10,000 a year. We know we can earn 20.96% per year, and we know we need it in 10 years, and it shows us we'd have to put $100,000 in up front as well. And the last one that we probably use least often than any, and that's our time frame calculators, time period calculator. So here we'll put a present value of 100,000, our payment of 10,000, future value of $1 million, right click and paste our interest rate of 20.96 with all the decimal places in, and it shows us that we would have our $1 million goal in 10 years. Okay, so all of these calculators, again, as long as you know 4 out of the 5, you can always solve for the 5th one with one of these calculators. And understand that sometimes a known is 0, but it's still a known. Okay, so this calculator is very, very helpful for getting to an answer quickly where the client can see it and without bogging them down sometimes with some of the complications of a larger calculator that shows more information that's not needed in every scenario.
Super. Thanks, Todd. And at Truth Training, Todd uses these calculators, as he said earlier, oftentimes to prove something out on one of the larger calculators, but also through very fun storytelling along the way, using combinations, sometimes 2 of the same, for example, rate calculator, to help people understand things. Join us. It's a fun 3 days.